you can actually still kill Bigfoot in Washington State because it's not made a full Washington State law yet.
Right. I reckon we need to get Skagit County on board.
That's right. We need to get that full across the state. Because it not
I've
only
heard the wood
Bigfoot,
knock there.
Oh,
but
yeah.
it doesn't just protect Bigfoot, it protects hairy people. Because it actually states that in the Skymania law.
So Joe can move here.
Yeah.
But you know how many people I've had guests on my show on Bigfoot that's what they want to do is go out and kill one for they can show proof here one exists.
See, I have no desire to. I know I've got Bigfoot in my backyard. Markham does too. Markham heard the knocks for the first time in my backyard.
Yeah.
And, you know, I've got a plaster cast sitting in my cupboard that's, oh, God, a good, I want to say 16, if not longer, inches long. I'm trying to remember.
But wouldn't it, honestly...
Something just occurred to me. We were talking, if I may, we were talking about how they don't want to talk about Wendigo and all the... Could it be that the shame at having to survive by eating humans, or, you know, resulting to cannibalism to survive, in order to assuage the guilt or to get away from that responsibility, we create this entity called Wendigo? Then it's like an open secret. Well, yeah, you know, Uncle Sid ate, you know, Uncle Two Feathers, but we're going to say it was the Wendigo because it was the Wendigo spirit that overtook him and made him do that. So it instead of, you know, it being one person responsible for cannibalizing another to survive, you create this creature, or you create this idea of the Wendigo to more or less absolve the surviving. You know, these people lived in small groups. They had to look at each other, you know, after the crisis passed, and not loathe each other. So do we create this construct, call it Wendigo, so that when the spring thaw happens and we can get out and get fresh food and we don't have to eat each other, we can still respect each other, work as a tribe, hold our tribal bonds together without being just mortified at what we had to do to survive a winter?
Well, I could see the myth becoming like them making that story up with later generations to explain it, but the generation that it actually happened to, I can't honestly believe that, for the fact that you look at the way the native population back then treated any animal that they used for food or clothing or anything that they were doing, the respect that they gave it. You got to think of what that respect would be like for someone who gave their lives for the good of the tribe.
But would you still, there's almost an instinctive level, I mean, you don't have to read a book to know that cannibalism is wrong, type of thing. It's almost on an instinctive level.
Absolutely.
And yes, we revered that person that we had to eat. I mean, if they pray over they pray thanks for a deer they shoot, surely to goodness, if they're having to eat, who was probably somebody that was a tribal elder, to say that, the old and the weak had, the weather used to call the herd, so to speak, call the tribe. I still think that there would be, yes, we revere this person and we're grateful that they made us survive, but on an instinctive level, cannibalism is so wrong that we have to, you can almost see, we create this demiurge, or we create this entity, sort of to absolve ourselves of what we perceive as a gut level sin. Even on one hand, on the same hand, you got to know, yes, it was a conscious decision to eat this person, but kind of like the devil made me do it. The Wendigo is the devil, so to speak. You create this thing so that you have a way of excusing that behavior, though it was necessary. We have that in other cultures where, I think it's in Tibet, they have a Yeti creature, and, it misbehaves during the parade and hits people, but it's known that the spirit of the Yeti is inside the performer. Or you get, like in voodoo, where the gods take over and you're not responsible for what you're doing.
And you bring up
Loa
Yeti.
are running the show.
And you brought up Yeti, so that actually goes with another question that Nikki's got about possible species of Sasquatch. And I think Yeti is a cousin of the Himalayans anyway. And what do y'all think? The original Frosty the Snowman, Island of Lost Toys, the Abominable Snowman they showed in the cartoons back in the 60s, the original one. And you think that was Yeti?
Possible. Well, keep in mind at the time that show was made, Lowell Thomas, who most people less than 50 probably don't remember, but Lowell Thomas was an adventurer who had a radio show, and Lowell Thomas remembered. But anyhow, Lowell Thomas was on an expedition where Yeti tracks were seen, and he was pretty much the Western voice that said, hey, we found these tracks of this, what they billed as the Abominable Snowman. So that was already in the culture when the Rudolph show comes up, and, big white, Bigfoot-looking thing with big feet and white,
So when it comes to Bigfoot types or species, I would say the Yeti is one, and I think it has to do with culture, and it has to do with continent. You got Yeti in the Himalayas. Here in North America, you've got Bigfoot or Sasquatch. I prefer Bigfoot. And you got swamp ape in the south.
Yeah, in Indonesia, we've got the orang pendek.
Okay.
They got the Yowie in Australia.
I was just about to say, isn't there one in Australia too? Yeah.
And
Yowie.
they call it, it's a very similar word. They actually have one in Russia. It's sort of wild man. Yes, yes.
Yes, the Almasties, Russia.
So, what's the translation?
Bigfoot.
Yeah, they all amount to the same. Well, look how different. Okay, let's look back at how creatures develop in the Galapagos. You had Darwin discovered and come up with or fleshed out a theory of evolution based on how different species adapted to their environment. Mm-hmm. Maybe swamp ape, smaller stature. It would be easier to get through the swamps and the brush and stuff down there. Smaller animal. Right. Midwest, Mid-South, you've got, one of the problems with trying to do Sasquatch or Bigfoot research and looking back into, 1800s and earlier prime source material is they didn't call it Bigfoot. They didn't call it Sasquatch. You have to look for a headline, forest ape, or not forest ape, like forest man or wild man.
Right.
In the case of
Wild
Daniel
man.
Boone's narrative, he called it a Yahoo.
Mm-hmm.
Well, can I say something? Here in Seattle, okay, we're talking about in the 1880s, 1890s, there was a Bigfoot reported coming down by Lake Union, and they called it the Hairy Man.
Mm-hmm.
And Hairy Man is what the Native Americans always call him.
Yep.
Now I want
Hairy brother, Hairy man. Harry's in there somewhere.
Now I want to say something, okay? Because I get frustrated when it comes to Bigfoot, and I think Eric knows why. Two things. You know what? I think they should pass a law. It's illegal to kill a Bigfoot should be equal to killing somebody. But I do think we need. I hate to say this, and I'm going to get emails on this now. I think they would end all this stuff if somebody did shoot one and brought it in, because then there's the proof that everybody needs, and at that point they can enact the law. In other words, you kill a Bigfoot, you go to prison. But I think that needs to happen. Now, the other thing I'm going to say, I saw a Bigfoot. Okay, so when I hear a lot of experts talk about Bigfoot, it really frustrates me, because I know 99% of these experts don't know what they're talking about because they've never seen one. Mm-hmm. Okay, I know how they run. They don't run on two legs for a very long distance. They run between 2 legs and 4 legs. Now, I can also say that I had like Ed Romans on my show. In Canada, you should know who Ed Romans is. He's a famous folk singer. And he had the same type of encounter not like I did. He was walking his dog in the forest near where he lives, his farm. And about 1,000 yards away from him, he saw a Bigfoot. And it decided to chase after him. The same thing, I knew he wasn't lying because he described the exact same thing I saw. I've had a couple other guests on my show in the last 2 years that claimed they saw a Bigfoot. They told me the same thing what I saw. Mm-hmm. So I can say that they don't have morals like me and you have. They think different than me and you have. So not being educated and having a morals like a civilization that we have, I do feel that they are cannibal. Because if you go into the rainforest, there is tribes yet it still eat people. They don't have morals. They don't look at them as any more than you butcher a cow. And that's
long pig.
That's how I look at it. And, so that's my 2 cents, because I was chased for over 2 miles through the woods up in the Canadian Rockies by an old Japanese internment camp. I know what I went through. I know what my friend as a medical doctor went through. And I tell you, it was not a friendly experience. And if I would have had a gun on me, I would have emptied it.
Oh, you would have shot him.
Darn right I would have.
But see, that's different. That would have been in self-defense, not hunting a Bigfoot because I want to get one's head.
No, but I do think that's what it needs. That would end all this discussion. All these people putting out crappy books on Bigfoot that don't know anything. Right. They're internet researchers, okay, and they write a book on Bigfoot, okay,
but then you have no morals there. Then.
Well, you know what? One is killed, and they declare a humanoid. Then I guess Then you shouldn't go out hunting deer. You shouldn't go out hunting bear. 2, you actually have one, and then a decision is made. Hey, it's humanoid. Then that's when the decision should be made. But that would give science proof. It would give everybody proof that it does exist. That's simple as that.
In order to proceed scientifically, we are going to have to get a specimen.
Right.
Now, whether we kill it or what I would hope, maybe we get one live
That's not
get
going to
our
be. That's not
DNA
going to be
sample.
easy.